Jake Paul vs. Gervonta, Tank Davis. November 14th, State Farm Arena in Atlanta. Streaming live on Netflix. This fight announcement dropped out of nowhere and instantly shook the boxing world. Jake Paul, who fights around 200 pounds, is stepping into the ring with a man who rules the lightweight division at just 135 pounds. It sounds unreal. How can this even happen? And is it a genuine fight or just another circus cash grab? The truth is a little of both. Jake Paul has been building toward this moment for years. Back in 2021, when he was just 3 fights into his boxing career, he posted a hit list of future opponents. On that list, Conor McGregor, Canelo Alvarez, Nate Diaz, Tommy Fury, and yes, Gervonta Davis. At the time, most people laughed it off. Jake was still seen as a YouTuber dabbling in boxing. Fast forward to now. He's beaten Tyron Woodley, survived Tommy Fury, and fought names that most people never thought he'd step into the ring with. Suddenly, the hit list doesn't look so crazy anymore. And on the other side, Tank Davis has his own reasons for saying yes. He was supposed to be running it back with Lamont Roach Jr. after their surprising majority draw earlier this year. Fans expected that rematch this summer. But then came the Paul opportunity, a global Netflix event, a bigger paycheck, and the chance to embarrass a much larger man who many purists say doesn't belong in boxing. Davis couldn't resist. So here we are. But here's the twist. This fight is not confirmed as a sanctioned professional bout. With a 65-pound gap between the fighters, the Georgia State Commission is unlikely to approve it as an official contest. Instead, it will likely be labeled as an exhibition. That means flexible rules, shorter rounds, different gloves, maybe even no official winner. On paper, it's just for entertainment. But once the bell rings, all bets are off. Because let's be real, this isn't Logan Paul sparring with a retired Floyd Mayweather. Jake has improved dramatically since his early fights, and Davis is still in his prime. Add in years of trash talk between these two, and you better believe they're both coming to make a statement. Exhibition or not, someone's getting tested. And the stakes are massive. For Jake Paul, everything rides on survival. He's been teasing a heavyweight blockbuster against Anthony Joshua in 2026. But if he gets wiped out by a man 70 pounds lighter, that fight vanishes. Who would care about Joshua knocking out a guy who couldn't even handle Tank? Jake knows he has to deliver, or his credibility is gone. For Gervonta Davis, the danger is different but just as real. He's an undefeated world champion, one of boxing's pound-for-pound stars. But imagine if he loses, even in an exhibition, to a social media star. The memes would be endless. The headlines brutal. His legacy as one of the most feared fighters in the sport could be stained forever. That's what makes this fight so strange and so fascinating. It's not about titles. It's not about rankings. It's about pride, ego, and spectacle. And boxing fans have seen this movie before. Remember McGregor versus Mayweather? It was mocked, hyped, and ultimately became one of the biggest selling fights in history. Logan Paul versus Floyd? Same deal. People swore they wouldn't watch, and then tuned in anyway. Why? Because curiosity always wins. That's what Jake Paul understands better than anyone. He's built his career on making you curious enough to click, to watch, to see what happens. And now, with Tank Davis in the opposite corner, that curiosity has reached its peak. Meanwhile, in the background, other storylines are brewing. Lamont Roach Jr. is still waiting for his rematch with Davis. Anthony Joshua is recovering from elbow surgery, looking for a comeback fight by year's end. Both futures are tied to what happens November 14th. If Paul survives Davis, the Joshua fight becomes bigger than ever. If Davis walks through Paul, his rematch with Roach could set up as a redemption story in early 2026. And if the unthinkable happens, if Jake Paul somehow defeats Gervonta Davis, the boxing world would explode. Fans would riot, purists would fume, and Jake Paul's name would be cemented as the ultimate disruptor in combat sports. So what are we really watching here? A legitimate clash between skill and size? Or the biggest boxing stunt since Mayweather-McGregor? Whatever you call it, one thing's guaranteed, you're going to watch. Everyone is. November 14th, Jake Paul. Gervonta, Tank Davis. Live on Netflix. Now the only question that matters, does size win the night, or does skill reign supreme? Let me know in the comments. Are you riding with Jake, or is Tank about to expose the problem child once and for all?